All right.
Oh, who bought $2 worth of Robux yesterday? That was you or Kaya. Okay. Where is
So
that?
mute these people.
I will mute them.
Oh, that's what you put in my pocket? I put it back over.
All right. Uh, so, hi, my name is Pawan Oberoi. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar. We are going to talk about Whiteboard.chat. The way we are going to do this is I request you to, if you have any questions during the webinar, please type them out on the Zoom chat, and one of my colleagues is going to read them out to me periodically. Um, but the agenda today is going to be that we are going to talk about Whiteboard.chat, give you an introduction, give you a demonstration of all the features of Whiteboard.chat. We'll invite you to experience it live with us as students on a whiteboard that we create. And of course, all throughout, we'll have questions and answers. So where does Whiteboard.chat fit into this virtual class ecosystem? It's a primarily observability and an engagement platform. It works really nicely with learning management systems out there, with Google Classroom, Schoology, and you can, in fact, even embed it as an iframe into Canvas. And then it works really nicely with all the communication tools like Google Meet, Teams, and Zoom. We're using it with Zoom today. Where Whiteboard.chat shines really is increasing the engagement from children, right? So think of it, this is the most powerful feature, at least from what we have learned interacting with teachers, is that the ability to see each and every child's live work at any time, right? So imagine you have the ability to be omnipresent in the class and look over each kid's shoulder and see what they're doing and how they're progressing, where they're struggling with in the lesson, where they're doing well. And you can join them and then work with them on a one-on-one basis, or put children in small groups and they can work together, collaborate with each other, and increase engagement that way. We have been told that using this platform, the engagement from children has actually gone up even beyond what was possible in person classes. So teachers around the world use this platform both uh, in hybrid, in remote learning, of course, and also in class now. It's a growing platform. We started, um, it's a fairly new platform. So it started mid-August and it's gone up to about 34,000 users a day. And it's used around the world. The dip here is because of Thanksgiving. But essentially, if you see, it's used around the world. Primarily, it's used in the US, but I think pretty much it covers most of the countries, maybe nobody in Iceland for some reason. But yeah, it covers most of the other countries really well. And Whiteboard.chat is a free platform. We have another product that we work on, but Whiteboard.chat is completely based on suggestions and feedback that we receive from teachers. We love to hear from teachers. What we do is they tell us, hey, we ask them to vote on features that they want us to implement, and we go implement those, right? And that's how it's progressing. We do weekly releases. Actually, we do major feature releases every week. So please engage with us, send us email, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. There is a very new and growing group on Facebook. If you are on Facebook, it's called Teachers Using Whiteboard.chat. I request you to please join that group and interact with us and with other teachers who use this platform quite a bit. Okay, that said, I think I'll get started. Whiteboard.chat is a web-based application, so there's no app to download, nothing to install. You can just go on your browser to whiteboard.chat. It's COPPA compliant. We do not require students to log in. We do not even require teachers to log in, but teachers do log in to save their work. Our privacy and terms of agreement are on this left-hand side. You can read it. But we have actually signed multiple different student privacy documents with school districts around the world. So if something like that stops you, please reach out. There are two modes Whiteboard.chat works in. One is like a regular whiteboard where everybody gets on the whiteboard on the same board, and then they can interact with each other, but you can actually draw on each other as well and erase each other's stuff. The more interesting piece is this one-to-many, where you can create, assign, and live teach individual student boards, right? And that's what we are going to talk about today. So you just click this button, it'll take you to whiteboard.chat. Let me hide this for a moment. Right? And you start off with a basic whiteboard where you can draw, right? You can draw with your mouse. Your teachers have used these tablets to start drawing on whiteboard as well.
I'm like in 2 meetings right now. It's kind of funny.
Sorry, let me mute.
Oh, you want to see what Mr. Price looks like?
Okay.
Please mute.
Yeah, I muted them. Thank you. All right. So yeah, you can increase the thickness of the pen by going here and increasing the thickness of the pen. It will increase the thickness. You can type anywhere on the screen. You don't need to put a in text input box. You can keep typing as much as you want, right? You can just click and type. It'll put their input where you are, right? You can control the colors from here as well. So if you click this button, you can pick a different color for the pen. You see the whole thing, the whole outline changes. Kids love it, but the pen color changes as well, right? So you can draw in different colors. You can type in different colors, right? So this is the basic function. After that, this on the left-hand side here is the toolbar. So what I'll do is I will start showing you the tools from the bottom up, right? So there's a text tool, which we talked about. There is an eraser, of course, that erases objects. An easier way to get to the eraser, if you do a right button, if you press the right button down and drag your mouse, it'll become an eraser. You can erase things really easily that way, right? You can upload PDFs, you can upload images by using this upload file button. You can open up this menu if you cannot read. You can open it up and it becomes more clearer to see what each of these icons mean. You can upload a file, for example. I'm going to upload a PDF file which has 3 pages in it, right? What whiteboard.chat does automatically is as soon as you upload the PDF, so this is page number 1 of the PDF, right? There's a page number 2 of the PDF, right? It'll create pages automatically. And this PDF, you can annotate on directly. You can write on it, you can draw on it, and you can type on it, of course, right? So you can do whatever you want on the PDF. It automatically gets created. You have the same number of pages. Right, so it's really simple to prepare a lesson. You can cut, paste images from the internet, which I will show you as well later on, or you can use the tools. There's a whole bunch of tools here. There's a line tool, there's an arrow tool. You can draw circles, for example. You can draw rectangles. You can put post-it notes, right? You have the ability to do an infinite cloner, so you can make clones of different objects, whatever they may be, right? From the infinite cloner. You can add a link to an external website. So if you want the students to go to an external website, like for example, google.com for this lesson, right? You can put a link there, right? And it'll create a link with a button that they can click to go there. You can embed YouTube videos on the app itself. So you just click the YouTube button, then you click anywhere here, it'll put this dialog box, and I can take a link from a YouTube video, for example, from our last webinar, and I just put it here, and it'll add it on as a window onto the whiteboard itself. So you don't need to go anywhere. You can have kids watch this video first while they're preparing or doing this lesson, right? You can, we have a built-in compass, so you can do constructions, right? You can, like a math compass, I will show you on this side. You can change the size, obviously, of the compass. You can make it smaller, bigger. You can move it around. You can draw circles. You can draw arches. Right. There is a math editor built in as well, so you can write out complex equations. Let me do that on a different page so it's clearer. Right. So you can write, if you choose the math editor from here, you can write out complex equations. And then there's a whole guide built in here as well. So if you click here, you can actually see the help on the top right. And you can see the math input guide. It has a whole input as to how you can, if you're familiar with LaTeX, that is what it uses, but you can use to type different things, quadratic equations, polynomials, fractions, integrals, whatever else have you, right? And we'll be very happy to add stuff that you would want, which is missing. So please reach out if you think something is missing and we can add to it. Right. So those are all of the functions. There's a dice built in. There's a programmable dice built in that you can use or the kids can use. You can set it such that it follows a certain sequence as well. It's programmable dice. So you can kind of cheat. You can say, I want to roll this in this order, right? And it'll roll in that order, all the numbers that I set up here, which is interesting for some teachers. Right. So that said, I think I've prepared my lesson. Now what I will do is that I will invite students. So it's super easy to invite students. You go to this button on the top right, the invite button. You click that. There are two ways you can invite them. You can click this, it'll open an email with a link, or you can copy this link, which is what most teachers do. And you can put it either on chat or in your LMS system, like you can put it on Schoology or Google Classroom. And what I'll do is, for the time being, I'm going to invite my colleagues so they can join as students, right? And at the same time, what I will do is I'll open another window on the side to show you a student experience, right? So I opened another browser tab in incognito mode, right? So it doesn't link with my account. And when students log in for the first time, it'll ask them for a name. This can be any name, right? And they can be identified to the teacher, and that's all, right? And the students, when they join, they get their own copy of this whiteboard that I prepared, right? Exactly the same thing. My page number 1 is their page number 1, right? But they don't have the ability to delete or erase or do anything to the content that is put in by the teacher. But they do have the ability to type or annotate right away, right? So they can start typing, annotating whatever work that the teacher asked them to do. They can watch the video, they can go to page number 2. And you as a teacher, this is the most interesting thing. You can watch all the students live, right? So you can go to this grid view button on the bottom. You can change the size of the grid if you want to see 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 3 by 3, how many students you want to see. And you can watch them working live, right? So for example, this student is here. You can see that they're doing this circle thing. You can see that show up on this side. So you can watch them live as they are working, right? You can join the students, right? You can join them on their board, and then you can work with them on a one-on-one basis as well. And you can say good job, and it'll show up on their board, right? And then you can go back to the front of the class and watch the rest of the class as well. So this is very useful. You can see Sid is doing something really nice. Praveen is doing something else. So all the students, you can observe, you can see where they're struggling, what they're doing well, how they're performing, all of that stuff, right? I'll pause here for a second and see if there are questions before I proceed. Sid, we cannot hear you.
Is there a link to this whiteboard chat that I missed?
Just go to whiteboard.chat. That's it. Sid, we cannot hear you. You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, so quite a few questions. First question was, when you uploaded the PDF, can you resize those documents?
Yes, so you can, yeah, it's really easy. You can do a lot of stuff with all of the objects that you put in. The easiest way to resize is just to use this move and resize tool. So you click that, then you can say, you can select the object you want and you can resize it, right, to a smaller piece. If you want to do other operations, you can use the select tool, which has a whole bunch of other operations as well. You can rotate it, for example, right? You can even clone it if you wanted to. I'll show you some of the other stuff. You can actually, we have animations built into the platform as well. So you can do animations of any of the objects that you put on the screen, even if your own drawing, right? Kids like that a lot. So you can animate and draw objects on the screen as well.
Great. Does it have to be PDFs or can they be any other documents?
They can be images like PNGs, JPEGs, or PDFs. That's the only thing we support right now. But you can always cut and paste from the internet. So if you go to, like, for example, images.google.com, you find a dinosaur's picture, or maybe I should look for baby Yoda, enough dinosaurs. And then you can just copy it using your snip tool and then paste it, and it'll.
Can it be PowerPoint slides or Google Slides directly?
No, so PowerPoint and Google Slides, you have to convert to PDF, unfortunately, but it's super easy. You can just say download as PDF and it will download it in PDF format.
Okay. How can you change the font size with the text box, and can you change the font as well?
So right now we cannot change the font. There's only one font that we have. You can change the size of the font. The brush size, if you make the brush bigger, the font becomes bigger. If you make the brush smaller, the font becomes smaller, right? But right now there is no way to change the font itself today. There is a rich text editor built in as well. So I forgot to show you that. There's a rich text editor which people use to write long paragraphs or stuff which has more ability to select whether you want things to be headings or you want them to be bold, you want them to be emojis, any of that stuff, right? And you can use italics and different formatting here, and that you can use to do more of the text things if you wanted to.
Can the students delete the web links as well as YouTube videos?
No, the students cannot do anything to the content that is put in by the teacher, right? For example, here, like I can try and use the eraser here. I can erase what I have put in, right, as a student, but I cannot erase any other content that the teacher has put in, right? So it will stay there forever. They can move it around, of course, right, if they wanted to a different place. But like, for example, this link I cannot erase, but I can click it. It will take me out to whatever the teacher wanted me to go to.
I think quite a few of the participants wanted to see you set up the class again and show the grid view. So maybe if you want to repeat that.
Sure. So let me do a different exercise, right? So on page number 4, I can go to page number 4, right, and do a different exercise. So here, the first thing you do is upload a file. So in this case, I'm going to upload a continent map of the world, right? So you just find the file on your local drive and you select it and it will load it automatically. You see, as soon as I load it on my page number 4, it appears on the students as well. There's nothing to do, right? And then I want the kids to identify different things on this map. I want them to say, hey, where is Asia? Where is Africa, right? And where are oceans, right? I can also put things from my palette here, which I will show you in a bit in more detail. But let's say I want to put something from a Christmas sticker. I want to put maybe a mistletoe, right? So I want them to put mistletoes on the palette as well, right? So what then after this, remember the kids cannot do anything to your objects that you put here. So what you can do is that you can use the select tool. You can say, click this guy and say, students can move this object. Students can move Africa. And then because there are multiple oceans, you want them to clone it. So students can clone this and students can clone the mistletoe as well. And on the student side, they just need to use the move and resize tool, and they can just drag and drop these objects now wherever they need to go, right? So it'll automatically make copies of the ocean, because I said students can clone, it becomes an infinite cloner. And same for the mistletoe, right? They can keep making as many copies as they want of it. Right? Of course, once they make copies, they can animate it too, right? So they can, for fun, they can do, like, rotate it, for example. So,
Yeah, for a lot more questions, Fun. So there's questions about can the students check each other's work as well?
so the students can never see each other's work. You see, they don't have the ability to go to the grid view. Only the teacher does, right? The teacher has the ability to showcase students' work. So I will show you that really quickly. So you go to this avatar menu here, and you can say, hey, Sid is doing a really good job. I'm going to showcase his work to everybody else. So you can just click this button, and then it'll update everybody's board to automatically be Sid's board. And you see that it is anonymous. We hide the name of the student. You don't know whose work is being shared. So you can share it verbally if you want to, but the students don't know whose work it is. Right? And then everybody gets to see Sid's work. And once you're done showcasing, you can stop it. And then they go back to their own individual boards. I should remove this YouTube because.
Okay. When a student gets on and starts writing, can the teacher see who's writing what? Do they have to put their name on everything that they write?
So the students have their own boards, remember. So you can see all the students' boards on the class, and you can go to each and everybody's individual boards. I will show you when you're doing group boards or things of that nature. You can actually double click. You can see who wrote what. So if I wanted to go to, let's say I want to go to Sid's board, right? And I wanted to see who wrote this. You can just double click this guy and say last updated by Sid, right? So you can see who wrote what on all the boards, right? But this is only useful when you're on a group board, because on an individual board, only that student is there, nobody else is there, right? So it doesn't really help.
Quite a few. Sorry, Pam, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Can you, I have a question. Can you create a class instead of sharing the link to the student?
I didn't understand. Maybe can you type it out so that we can keep going, so that we have like a lot of people in this webinar. What we'll do is that 30 minutes. So after the top of the hour, we'll stay back 30 more minutes. So if you want to interact with us on a one-on-one basis, we'd be more than happy to do that. But if you have a question, I would request you to please type it out. Sid?
Yes, there's questions about all the various math manipulatives. So maybe you want to go that. Right
okay. Now. All right. Cool. So all right. So the next thing I can show you is there's a whole bunch of other stuff built in here. Like for example, there's grids built in. You can do math grids. You can do bigger grids. There's a primary line grid, right? There's a programming grid. There's a music sheet even, right? Then we have a whole bunch of palettes. You can create your own palettes as well, which I will show you. But there's a palettes of objects, just like I showed you earlier. There is like, we put seasonal stuff, like we have Christmas, Hanukkah, Diwali stuff right now here, stickers, right? There's math objects, right? Like some, of course, for younger kids, if you don't want to use the math editor, you can use math symbols from here. We have letters built in, right? We have like numbers built in. We have magnetic letters in different colors built in, so you can do vowels, and all of these you can set for students to clone, students to move, all of that, right? Or they can pick from the palette as well. We have a whole bunch of math manipulatives as well. We have like 100 blocks, we have 10 blocks, right? We have 1 blocks, and these are super easy for us to add. It takes us 5 minutes literally to add new things. If you have something that you want, just send us an email, we'll add it. We have a protractor, we have a ruler, we have axis, we have 10 frames, we have number bonds, right? These are all requested by teachers. Half of these things, I don't even know what they are. There's a place value chart, right? There's a simple place value chart. There's number lines, right? So you have blank number lines, you have numbered number lines, we have arches, we have fraction tiles, right? You can do fractions with the fraction tiles. We have touch point numbers. I don't know what they are. There are 100 charts. There's multiplication charts, right? So a whole bunch of manipulators in here that you can use. There's rewards that you can give.
For one. Hi, this is Kalila. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
I'm sorry to interject. I just had a quick question because I just started using your product and I watched maybe 80% of your recorded webinars. So I greatly appreciate the information, but I haven't seen if you are able to add more than one upload to a workbook at a time. So if I wanted those, if you were just working on those two charts, am I able to add the thousands chart with the manipulatives at the bottom? Like, how would I put more than one? Okay.
Yeah, you can do that. So again, just keeping everybody. So you can say this is the 10 chart, for example, right? And then you wanted kids to put in let's do place value. You can do multiple of these on the same chart, right? And you can just say, for example, this one kids can move, right? And this one kids can move. So when the kids go to that page, which is page number 6, right? They will have the ability to either move it, or I didn't set this one. I can set this. I can set this one to students can clone, right? And then
so you're saying you can add a PDF or whatever you like on each page.
Yes, you can have multiple. Yeah, you can have multiple of those. You can have multiple PDFs, multiple manipulators, whatever else you want.
So I have a PDF that's 6 pages. How would I add an additional PDF after that 6th page?
So go to page number 7 and upload the second PDF.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So then we have US currency built in. We have Canadian currency built in. We have Russian letters, we have candies, teachers requested so that you can decorate like gingerbread cookies, or you can gingerbread houses. We have some candy stuff we recently added. So there's a lot of fun stuff here. There's New Year's stuff. There's new widgets we added. This is really cool. Sid just added this yesterday. There's a clock built in, right? So we can actually do time. So if you wanted to do time, for example, you can use the clock to teach kids time. There's a spinner built in, right? So you can actually do spinner activity. This is a programmable spinner, so you can change, like for example, what you want the kids to pick from, right? Right. Right, you can set it to sync across kids, so any kid can spin the spinner, or you can have only the teacher can spin the spinner, right? And then when you spin it, you can see that actually it is spinning on all the kids' boards as well, and any kid can spin it as well. This is a recent ad which is quite popular actually. A lot of teachers asked for it. So I'll pause again for a second. Sid, questions?
Yeah, please. One question was, can students move objects across pages?
Right now, no. So everything is contained within a board. You cannot move stuff across pages.
Okay. Can we use Chinese characters as well?
You can type Chinese characters if you have a Chinese keyboard. We can like people type Hebrew, Arabic, all kinds of languages on it. You can create, okay, this is very interesting. So you can create your own palette of objects as well. We recently added this. Either you can draw stuff. For example, I draw a star, right? I can, let me do it on a different page so it's clearer. So you can say, I draw a star. I can make it whatever size I want, right? I can resize it to be smaller. And then I can say, add to my palette. You can go here and say, add to my palette. It'll ask me, what do you want to call it? I want to call it a star. Right? And it will show up here. So now whenever I log in, it becomes part of my library, right? So I can put my bit emoji, teachers put their bit emojis in here. You can put anything in the world really into your palette, right? So you can put stickers that you like, you can put Chinese characters, you can put anything from the internet that you wanted to, right? You can put this guy there.
For Juan, for those of us that teach several subjects, do you have, you see how you just added the math manipulative, well, the star, you added the star. Am I able to put that into like a subject, like say math, English? Am I able to, because apparently after a while, your objects will get to a certain degree.
Yeah, right
So
now
are you able to put them into buckets, sort of?
Right now we don't have the ability to organize this, but we can add it. We can have like different drop downs here, my object for math, my object, but right now we do not have that capability.
Thank you.
Okay, Sid.
Yeah, I think there's been questions about creating groups of students, and also maybe you want to touch upon that.
Okay. All right. So I showed you all of this stuff on the right hand side. So these palettes are now movable, so you can move them around. If you put them in a place where they get stuck, there is a way to go to the settings menu and say reset the palette position, right? And it will reset it back to what it was. This is a helpful trick. So there, I'll show you some of the other stuff on the top. So if I go back, there is the ability, if a student needs help, right? They have the ability to raise their hand. So they can click this hand icon here, and then it'll show up on the teacher's side to say, hey, this student needs help. And you can just click that, it'll directly take you to the page where the student is and where they need help, right? So that's super helpful. Then when you're done, you can go back. Then there's a timer built in, so you can set up a timer that, yeah, I give you 5 minutes for this exercise. It'll show up on all the boards saying you have 5 minutes to complete this exercise. When you're done, you can close it. It'll close everywhere. There's a whole bunch of other tools available under this avatar icon. So if you click any of these avatars, you don't have to click a specific name. Just like I showed you earlier, you can showcase a student. You can make co-teachers. For example, I'll want to make a co-teacher for this student. And then you'll see that this is a co-teacher and they have the ability to draw on the instructor's board. They have the ability to view the grid view. And then they have the ability to also, if somebody raises their hand, they can go there and help that student as well, right? So they'll see all of that information. Right, and you can undo it so that they go back to being a student, and then they don't have the ability to see the grid view anymore. Right, you can create a group. So this is super interesting. You can pre-create groups, which is a little more complex, which I won't go into. We have a whole bunch of videos and help tutorials online, as well as feel free to reach out to us. We'll point you to them if you cannot find it. We have a channel on YouTube you can subscribe to as well. So you can create a group board for people who are in the class. You can pre-create them as well, but you can create it for people in the class. So for example, I select these 3 students, I move them to the right, I give it a name. I say this is blue, group blue, right? And then what happens is all the students will automatically be taken to group blue's board, right? And you can see each other's mouse. Now they can collaborate with each other. Maybe they can, let me, so you can see Sid is drawing here, right? Maybe I should change it color. Right. Let me change my color to blue. Sid is drawing in green, right? But even here, you can see that I have the ability to erase my stuff, but I can never erase what Sid is doing, right? Even on group boards, the students can collaborate with each other, but they cannot erase each other's stuff. And here it is useful because now we go back to the camera that is mounted on top of each kid's shoulder, right? You can see all these 3 kids are in the blue group. Their camera is now showing the blue group. And I can just join that as a teacher. And now I can go see, hey, who wrote what, right? That's why it's interesting. You can double click any of that. You can see, hey, Sid wrote this one, right? And then you can double click this one and you see that, hey, student 1 wrote this one. So it is useful to see who wrote what even in a group board. And once you're done with the group activity, you can just hit this trash icon. You can actually edit the group as well if you wanted to. You add or remove students, you can edit the group. Or you hit this trash icon, it'll take all the kids back to their individual student boards, right? The group board is not deleted. Not all of this work gets auto saved, which I will show you. But at that point, the group activity is done and the students are back to their boards. So I'll pause again for a second and see if there are questions.
Yeah, so there's questions about how teachers and students can download their work. Paul.
Okay. Yeah. So you can download that as a teacher. You can click this cloud icon. You can download your whole only your work as a PDF. You can download the whole class as a single PDF, or you can download the whole class where you have one PDF per scholar, right? So when you click any of these, it will create this PDF for you, right? And then you can download it and keep it on your file. You can put it on Google Drive or whatever else have you, right? The students have the ability to do the similar thing. They can only download their work and they can submit their work with all of the annotations, with all of the objects from the teacher and the student, and they can submit it to Google Classroom or whatever else you want it to as a record.
For one, I have a question. Is there a way that I am able to set up pre-work or work that's Monday through Friday for my students to access on those days? So by being a teacher, we need control. That's our thing. We love control. Okay, so we need to set up things that are beforehand. So on Saturday, we're preparing Monday through Thursday work. Is there a way that we can set up our groups and set up our work
Yes.
in this forum so that it comes through on those days?
Yes, we can do that. So what you can do is that you can create a different board for each day of the week if you wanted to, right? And then you can pre-create it. You can put it in the Google Classroom on their calendar as the invite link. You can even pre-create the groups. Like I said, that's a little bit more complex than what I would like to go into this webinar. But if you stay back after the top of the hour, I can show you.
Definitely. Thank you.
Right. So then we cover. Sid, any more questions?
Yeah, a few questions about managed boards, but I'm sure you're going to get to that in a little bit.
Right. So now the next things I'm going to show you is that you can do a lot more stuff with this. You can click this manage book icon. You can send a copy to a colleague, right? You prepared a lesson. You say, hey, I want my other teachers to have a copy of my work. You can send it to them. It will create a link. You can just copy this link and send it to all the teachers. And when they click the link, it will create a copy for them without your kids in it, right? So that's useful. You can publish it to the community, which we recommend. There are a lot of teachers who publish their work to the community. It's all free, right? You can see what other teachers are doing. I'll show you how to get to it. You can upload bingo. I will show you that as well, hopefully, if you have time. And you can upload linked PDFs from outside. Like, for example, if you wanted to upload a math worksheet from outside, you can use this. You can save a copy. So if you're teaching 2 or 3 different sections, you can click the save a copy and you can make copies of your work for class A, section A, section B, section C, right? So you can have multiple copies to work with, right? And you can see all of your boards. If you click this manage boards icon on the top, you can see all of your work. Oh, I didn't give it a name. Let me give this a name. But you can see all of your work here and you can organize this in folders. And along with the teacher's board, you can see all the students' work and the group boards under it, right? And you can access this at any time. The students can go back to their work asynchronously at any time, and they can continue working on it if you don't lock the board, right? And you can keep watching out and seeing what they're doing by looking at this boards. There's one thing that we do recommend is that the boards do expire in about 2 to 3 weeks, right? So keep an eye out of the expiry date, and then you can just extend the expiry date by clicking this button. It'll extend it out by a month. It did 2 months. It did a month, right? So it actually helps you to keep a track of when your boards are expiring, but by default there's a 2-week expiry on it. So that's the manage board section. There's more stuff here which I will show you. Let me, Sid, any more questions?
Yeah, a few questions about devices. Can this be used on iPads and Chromebooks?
Yes, it works really well with Chromebooks. It works fairly well with iPads too. You can log in with multiple devices at the same time as well, which is quite useful, right? Because if, for example, if I want to use my iPad to write, right, I can just, what I can do is that I can use the camera, for example, here, and you see I have an iPad, right? You can take a picture of the QR icon. Oops. It'll open it in my iPad, which I have in my hand, right? Let me erase some of this stuff so it's clear. Right, you can say, then you can write with your iPad right here, right? And then it shows up on the same board. So you can use multiple devices at the same time. You can use, the kids can use any varied set of devices. People even use it on small mobile phones, which we don't recommend, but they do.
And that includes also PCs with styluses and Surface tablets. And everything.
That's right. Yeah, you can use these like these things as well.
Okay.
And-
Is there
Sorry, go
is
ahead.
there a read aloud function?
Yes,
For...
I was going to get to that. Okay, so all right, so let me show you a couple. I'm going to stop my video for a second. So we just recently added this ability to use, kids can, if you're doing work with real paper and pencil, you can actually take photos of your work and then you can upload it really easily from your webcam right onto your whiteboard. You can see it shows up here. And as a teacher, I'll still get to see it on the grid view. I can see it from the student, right? I can go there and make corrections on top of their picture right there, right? Without them doing anything special. So it's super useful if you're doing work with a real paper and pencil. You can give them stickers if they're doing well, all of that stuff with real thing. And the teacher can do that too. You can just take pictures with the webcam. Similarly, what you can do is that you can actually use the webcam audio, right, to either record, read aloud answers or instructions, right? They can say hello, 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 right? And then just save it, and it'll put a button. You can see it puts a button on the page, and you can just, as a teacher, you can just go there and click it and hear the kid talking, right? And similarly, you as a teacher have the ability to put instructions, audio instructions right there on the whiteboard as well.
Juan, can you animate that box?
You can animate everything. Yes.
Okay, because I have students who can't read yet, and if I'm telling them to click the answers, I can easily tell them, click what's going around. You see what's going around.
Yeah, the fortunate or the unfortunate thing is that you can animate anything. Once kids figure that out, they like that. So, okay.
That's really cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So, yeah. So, Sid, any more questions?
Did you?
Yeah, the
sorry.
voice recording.
Did you say that there's? I heard you say that the teacher can do a video on the students to give them feedback. Can the students? Did you say the students can record a video for the teacher as well?
Yeah, both is right now we don't do video because of PII. We can enable video. People have asked us to. We can do audio only, but the student and the teachers can do both of like this. They can each put their own instructions or answers there.
Is there
You can
a time
always
limit on
embed
this?
YouTube videos or external links if you wanted to.
Is there a time limit on the recording part?
No, there's no time limit right now. We should have a time limit. We don't have it.
Yeah. Let's see.
All right. So while Sid is looking for more questions, I'll show you some more features. This is useful when, so if you're doing a time activity, for example, an assessment, you can lock the class, for example. After that, you can say, hey, the activity is done. And at that point, the student doesn't have the ability to change anything on their board. And you as a teacher still have ability to do corrections on their board and put in the answer keys or whatever else that you wanted to, right? You can leave it locked forever if you don't want them access. if you lock it, and they'll still have read-only access, so they can go back and see what you're doing, but they won't be able to change anything. There's the ability to set it such that you follow the teacher. So if your teachers told us that they saw the students were on a different page, so if you set this up, you go to page, whichever page you're on, the students are automatically taken to that page as you're explaining things, right? So they don't have to, you don't have to call out the page number per se. And then we have a chat built in as well. So you can do one-to-many chat or a group chat built in into the whiteboard as well. So we can use that where whatever the teacher types goes to all the students, but whatever the students types only goes back to the teacher, except when they're in a group board, then they can chat with each other, but the teacher still gets a copy of it. Okay, Sid.
So I think there's some questions about just asynchronous usage. Maybe you want to touch upon that again?
Yeah, so the students, if they close the browser, for example, and they go away, they can get back to this work at any time as long as they have access to the invite link. I can show you. So like, for example, this invite link is, I close that browser tab, right? I can, if I go back to the same link, it'll take me back to my board wherever I was. So you can continue working on it offline at any time, right? Unless the teacher locked it. If the teacher locks it, then you don't have ability to write on it, but you can still access it as in a read-only mode.
Does it take you back to where the teacher is, or where the student left off?
Where the student left off.
Okay.
Unless you enable the follow the teacher. If you enable follow the teacher, then it'll take you where the teacher is.
Is there any way for students to erase what they chatted with each other?
No, not at this moment.
Okay. There's also a question about animation. Is there any other animation besides spinning?
There's spinning and then moving. You can move objects and you can spin them. You can do both at the same time too, which is a little tricky. But these are the only two. If you know of others, we can add it.
Yeah. Can students put
one other one is jumping, like stars jumping, or the animated features jumping, like they're pulsating.
I see. Okay, we can look into that.
Yeah, can students put stickers on their own work?
Yes, right now they can. The teachers have the ability to do to limit the access to the students. You can say, if you have younger kids, you can say students see very simple tools. If you click the gear menu here, you can see this. You can see students can see very simple tools or simple tools, and that will limit the amount of tools the kids have access to, so they don't get overwhelmed. But they still have access to the palette.
I think some users are unable to see the upload icon because they need to scroll. Maybe you want to demonstrate.
Yes, so I think basically if your window is smaller, right, there's a scroll bar that shows up here. So you might need to scroll down to see all the tools. I saw that in one of the comments saying, why are you hiding all the nice tools underneath? So it's a good comment, but now it's unfortunately or fortunately, we have so many people used to this that if we move things around, we get yelled at. So we'd rather not do that too much.
Okay. Is there a way to make the shapes of different lengths or colors, and as we are doing area models, and that would be great.
You can, people use this grid thing. Right now, you cannot fill in the shapes, which is bad, but you can actually use, you can do like rectangles, right? And then you can do another rectangle. You can change the color, of course, of your pen. It will change the color of your rectangle to that one. So you can do different things like that.
Okay. Is there a snap to grid feature so that kids can type in, as they type in, it moves to the next spot?
No, I think some teachers in India also asked us for that. So we have it in our backlog. We are going to implement it such that, especially in the big grid, you want them to type one number at a time in each box, and they can just press tab to keep going to the next one. We'll add that. Okay, I think Sid, we can keep going with the questions. So what I'll do is let me show you the last thing. I'll give you access to the board as well, so you can start playing with it as a teacher. And this is a bingo. So there's a special way that Whiteboard.chat treats bingo, right? So you can play bingo with Whiteboard.chat. What it requires is you can see that in our help section as well, but each page in the PDF file is a different bingo tile. You see this PDF that I'm showing you. What you can do is that you can upload this to Whiteboard.chat, right? You can say, you can do manage board and say upload bingo and find that file. And for each participant that joins, it will randomly assign them a tile out of that bingo page, right? And then what happens is, so if I invite, for example, this student here to this guy, right? They will get a different tile. Oops, well, they got the same one, unfortunately. Let me open another one. So it's random, so sometimes you will get the same one. Two people can get the same one if you don't have enough tiles. But you see this one got a different tile. Now you can see that if you do the grid view, you can actually see the kids playing bingo live, right? You're calling out numbers or you're calling out different things. And you can see who's winning or who's lagging behind, and you can call out things specifically for those kids if you want them to keep along. Right. So what I'll do is that I'll send you the invite link. I'll put that on the Zoom chat so you can play with it while we continue answering more questions.
Yeah, Pan. So is there a number of limit on the number of students that you can host at one time?
So there's no real limit. We have tested this up to 100 students or 100 different browsers. So that's what we put an artificial limit as, but we can increase it if there is a real need for it.
Okay. Is there a coordinate plane that we can put in the background as well?
There's no, yeah, I think another teacher was asking us that. You can actually do, so let me show you this. This is interesting. I'll do this on the second page. So you can put, you can put any background, right? You can cut, paste stuff from the internet. You can download PDFs and put them yourself. So for example, if there is there's this website called dadsworksheets.com, which has a whole bunch of different, like for example, I wanted, there's a coordinate plane right there. Maybe you can just steal it. It's open source. You can see there is this coordinate plane, right? You can, or the quadrant. So you open that worksheet, you copy this link, right? And then you can go to whiteboard.chat. You can say upload linked PDF and just put the link there of that thing that I just found, right? And it'll put the coordinate plane right here on the whiteboard.chat. And then you can change the size. Of course, you can use the move and tool to change the size. And you can set this as a background and lock it, so that after that, so you can lock this object, right? Double click it and say lock, and you can say set background. Now, if you go to your page number 2, you can see this coordinate plane on your page number 2. And you can add this to your palette too. If you really want to use it again and again, you can add it to your palette and it will show up in your manipulative section.
If there's a PDF in your Google Drive, could you insert it as a linked PDF instead of downloading and inserting it?
Yes, if it is public, you can. If it is, if you have to log in to get to it, then you cannot.
So there's few issues that some teachers have reported. There could be something specific to what they've run into, but there's maybe one item that seems a little bit frequent. Sometimes the instructor puts content on the page and some students say they do not have it on their student boards. What can they do?
So I think there are a couple of things that at least I know. One is that sometimes if the network is slow, the big images do not make it to the browser. So we recommend people use this refresh button very frequently. So I'll keep them connected to the network. The second thing is sometimes the time of the browser of the computer is off. And then we use Amazon Cloud, so it messes up things sometimes. So one thing that you can try is that just like I locked this background, or you can set it as background. If you do set background, that changes how the whiteboard accesses the images. So that will maybe cause it to show up on the student side. We are still investigating that. So if you have examples, we'd love to see them. But I think unfortunately, we haven't been able to find a child who's facing the problem and troubleshoot it with them.
Okay.
So one more thing is that one thing to note is that anything that you put on, oh, I changed the highlight. I made this a highlighter. So anything that you do on your screen ends up on the kid's screen instantly, but you can toggle the replication. You can click this and say toggle replication. And at that time, whatever you draw on your board doesn't show up on the kid's board. Right? So you can turn that off if you want to send it there or not send it there. You can choose it. You can also view all of the class boards. So if you're doing assessments and corrections, rather than going through the grid view, remember, points at what you are looking at. It may not be your board. You can use this open class board things, and this is alphabetical. So you can say, hey, I want to go to page number 1 of all these people, and you can quickly go from one page to the next page to the next page, right? You can quickly go through all the students really quickly and pick all the boards from here.
Okay. Question about the background one. Do you need to set it as a background even after locking it, or is locking just sufficient?
Locking is sufficient.
Okay. A question about Google login. So when students log in using a Google account to their student boards, is it saved in their accounts, or do they need a link to get to the assignment?
Yes. So if the student actually logs in, you can force the students to log in using their Google account. You can go to this gear icon. You can say only logged in students can join the board, right? Then the students' work is also saved in their managed boards. So if they go to their managed boards, they will be able to get back to their work very easily without having the link.
Okay. There's some questions about certificate of attendance. Teachers, you could just send an email to feedback@whiteboard.chat to get a certificate. We can definitely provide that.
I see a question about the price. Yeah,
yes.
So we never want to charge educators for this product. We want to keep it free. We will keep it free all the time. Like I said, we have a different product that we are making on the side, and this is our main product somehow now. So yeah, that one is the one supposed to make money. We are a startup based out of California. We're a really young company. We started in December last year.
Okay.
Just to say, Pawan, when you get teachers to want to promote your product, you get free stuff. This is free. We love keychains, sweaters, anything that comes to the mail so we can show we love free, and we love to voice our opinion. Just to say, okay?
All right, thank you. That's a really good, we will start printing
stickers.
Keychains.
We don't care. We just love it all free. As long as it's free, we don't have to pay for it. We love it.
I agree, Ms. Summers.
All right, I think we are at the top of the hour. So what I'll do is I'll stop the recording. Like I said, we'll be here for 30 more minutes. So please, if you have questions, thank you for spending your valuable time with us. Thanks a lot.